Hello and welcome to Panoramic Edition, where we discuss national, regional and international developments in depth. The public prosecution, in collaboration with the Ministry of Interior, Naif Arab University for Security Sciences, the Judicial and Legal Studies Institute and the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime, UNODC or UNODC, has recently organized an international conference titled Advancing Restorative Criminal Justice Insights into Evolving Justice Management Systems. The conference featured prominent figures from the judicial and academic fields, including Sheikh Khalid bin Ali Al Khalifa, Vice President of the Supreme Judicial Council and President of the Court of Cassation, Dr. Ali bin Fadl Al-Bu'ainain, Public Prosecutor, representatives from UNODC, alongside international academics and experts. To talk more about that, we are pleased to be joined here by the Chief Prosecutor at the Public Prosecution, Mr. Ahmed AlFadhil, right after this.
In line with further enhancing the criminal justice systems and highlighting the importance of restorative justice, the Public Prosecution organized an international conference titled Enhancing Restorative Criminal Justice, a look at the evolution of criminal justice management patterns. The conference, held in collaboration with the Ministry of Interior, Naif Arab University for Security Sciences, and the Institute of Judicial and Legal Studies, with the participation from the United Nations Office on Drug and Crime, and was attended by experts and specialists from various countries. The participants of the conference discussed the concept of restorative criminal justice, its historical development, and its legal foundations at the both national and international levels, as well as reviewing successful experiences and modern applications in this field.
Welcome back. We are pleased to be joined here in the studio with the Chief Prosecutor at the Public Prosecution, Mr. Ahmed AlFadhil. Hello and welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for being with us. It's very exciting for us to focus and promote more about the conference that happened, which is promoting restorative criminal justice, a look at the evolution of justice management models conference that took place recently. What can you tell us about the main concepts and objectives behind the Promoting Restorative Criminal Justice conference?
Well, the conference aimed to highlight the importance of implementing restorative justice measures within the criminal justice system, especially reconciliation, mediation, and non-custodial measures in modern judicial systems. It explored how these approaches can reduce conflicts, promote social reintegration, and ensure justice that a sense of justice that balances the interests of the victims, the assailants, and the broader community as well.
What can you tell us about the agenda and the topics that were addressed during the conference?
Well, the agenda covered the historical and legal foundations of the restorative justice system and the contemporary best practices, emerging innovations. It also included panel discussions, keynote speeches, and workshops focused on effectively integrating restorative approaches into existing legal systems.
Right. The conference actually also focused on a lot of topics, including restorative criminal justice and its role in promoting human rights and achieving sustainable development goals. Now, that's a big topic. What can you tell us about the significance of these two aspects?
The thing is, when we're talking about restorative justice and human rights, they actually go hand in hand. Once a system or a legal system starts promoting restorative measures within their legal framework, they're actually applying guidelines or principles of human rights within that system. It helps ensure fairness, dignity, and active community engagement. It also promotes sustainable development goals by reducing the instances where criminals go back to committing crimes, supporting offender rehabilitation, which is a very big topic of restorative justice, and building safer, more cohesive communities.
Right. At this point, actually, you've mentioned it, that it promotes a better society. How does it affect a society in a whole, and specifically also the people that are going through this program?
Well, the thing is, when we're talking about restorative justice, especially in ancient times, when it comes to criminal justice, the point of it was more of a revenge against the offender, somebody who committed a crime. So the community as a whole would seek revenge in a manner that would satisfy or act as a remedy to what the offender committed. Luckily, the legal systems have been improving non-stop, and that's been culminating in the implementation of restorative justice. And it introduced a lot of ways to fix the effects of the crime and try to rehabilitate the criminals in a way that would allow them to be re-implemented into societies and mostly stop them from going back to committing crimes.
Absolutely. All right. The conference featured some leading figures within the field. How do you value these kind of contributions? And tell us a little bit about the speakers.
Luckily, we were extremely in luck to be able to hear what these speakers have presented us with during this conference, and it featured many renowned experts, which brought invaluable insights, presenting global best practices and real world experiences. And their contributions helped participants understand how to adapt these approaches to local contexts and spurred meaningful discussions at the end of the conference. We've had many local expertise, many international expertise. We've had the head of the Restorative Justice for All Institute, which gave us some extremely helpful insight and practical knowledge when it comes to implementing these restorative justice measures. And I would say that none of the speakers provided anything less than excellent expertise.
Right. Not only were there a vast number of speakers and key figures and decision makers, but also the participation of the people coming to the conference was vast. Tell us a little bit about that, and what does that mean about the conference?
It was honestly surprising for me, but not entirely, to see that number of people participating in the conference. It comes to show how important this topic is, and this diverse group of participants did help in providing some extremely helpful insight when it came to the discussion part of the conference. And seeing many different parties concerned with this topic and even more concerned with how to implement it as fast as possible.
All right. Little bit about this. A conference like this happens with a lot of work coming behind it. And one of the main things that happen is a lot of strategic partnerships that help in contributing and enriching the content of conferences. Can you tell us about the strategic partnerships at this conference?
Well, some of the main sponsors for the conference were the UNODC. And that strategic partnership is invaluable. We've also had the honor of hosting the head of the Naif Arabic University for Security Sciences. And they have conducted some extremely in-depth research when it comes to the topic. So having them speak, providing their experiences with the topic was extremely knowledgeable.
Right.
Yes.
And when it comes to the conference, in many ways it was unique than conferences of its same caliber. So what made this conference important and unique in its ways?
Well, it emphasizes the restorative rather than the retributive justice. As I mentioned earlier, it focuses on reconciliation and reintegration of criminals into society. And it also brings together local, regional, and even international parties and institutions, offering comparative insights, innovative perspectives, and specifically tailored experiences to the region's needs.
Right. Now, when we talk about the justice system, the justice reforms, Bahrain has always been at the forefront of human rights, of restorative criminal justice, and other topics that align with it. From your point of view, how does this conference pinpoint the alignment of restorative justice with the kingdom's justice reforms?
Well, under the guidance of His Majesty the King and His Royal Highness the Crown Prince, they have always been keen on implementing these or actually going out of the traditional way of delivering justice. The criminal justice system here in Bahrain has always been proud of itself for being innovative, for adapting to the international norms, and not just sticking by them, but actually improving upon itself, which actually culminates in the establishment of this conference, which focused on a rather new subject, which is the restorative justice. And I'm proud to have been a part of it.
Yes. During the conference, one of the positive aspects is the ability to exchange points of view, to exchange expertise, especially that Bahrain is leading within the expertise in the region. Can you tell us about the importance of having the variety of people at the conference to share the experiences and also update the information on it?
Well, it comes to show the keenness of Bahrain's usage of these expertise, and we have been blessed to been able to invite such esteemed parties. Each one was able to provide us with their own insights from different cultures, from different regions, and I'd like to think that whenever a conference does host this variety of expertise, it ends up enriching the experience itself and ending up with an even better recommendation at the end of the conference.
Before we go towards the end of the episode, now when we talk about restorative justice and we talk about the topics that are targeted within the conference, who are the people that are gaining the most out of restorative justice? How do we work better on making more awareness about it?
That's the special nature of restorative justice. Instead of using the traditional way of just punishing the assailant, it actually considers all stakeholders in the matter. Yeah. Let's say somebody committed a crime, somebody has been affected by that crime, and the community as a whole is also affected. And when it comes to restorative justice, it tries to the best of its ability to remedy all the effects done by the crime. And the people who will be affected by this are actually the victim and even the offender themselves, yeah, and the community as a whole.
Absolutely. Mr. AlFadhil, what can you tell us about the main recommendations and the outcomes of this conference?
Actually, there were a lot of recommendations, and each of them is in their own rights a very broad topic, but once implemented, it should constitute quite a positive change and an improvement to the criminal justice system. One of them was the implementation of certain legislation to help incorporate such restorative justice measures. It also recommended that the less usage of non-custodial measures when it comes to the criminal justice system. It also recommended that with strengthening the criminal mediation through specialized training, and enhancing judicial capabilities and the capacities of the people who are working in the judicial sector, comprehensive monitoring of restorative outcomes via digital statistics, which is a very important thing, engaging the civil society and the private sector in rehabilitation initiatives, and the focusing on vulnerable groups such as children, women, and persons with disabilities. It also touched upon the spreading and restorative justice culture through public awareness, and the fostering cooperation among national and international bodies. And lastly, it's recommended promoting mediation in family and child cases to preserve social stability.
Absolutely. When we talk about training and awareness, they also come a little bit hand in hand, training being for the experts of the field itself. How would it go about to install that kind of training or to augment it?
Well, we have a judicial studies institution here in Bahrain, and they are one of the key factors when it comes to training to the judicial sector. And when it comes to awareness, most people maybe don't know that even if they are affected by a crime, they can seek certain procedures in order to lessen that negative effect that they had from the crime. So it's extremely important for awareness to be spread regarding that matter.
Yeah, and Bahrain has also always provided the means for awareness, whether it is medical attention, help, or information and informatives on that. Before we end today's show now, the bar has been set very high with this conference. And what's expected after that? Any plans, any things to see in the future?
What I hope to see is the implementation of these recommendations, as each one of them would improve significantly the criminal justice system. And once we do get to the point of implementing each and one of those recommendations, I believe that we'll be taking great strides into reaching an optimal criminal justice system that is fair to all.
Right, right. Thank you so much for being with us and for answering our questions today.
It was my absolute pleasure. Thank you very much.
And we'd like to thank you, dear viewers, for watching, and we'll see you next week in another episode of Panoramic Edition.